All right, the claim I'll be refuting today is that SeaWorld is a legitimate company that protects their animals, and this was supported by two secondary claims. First, that PETA's propaganda campaign against SeaWorld negatively affects the animals that SeaWorld cares about, and second, that SeaWorld aims to take care of its animals in the best possible way. So for the first claim that PETA's propaganda campaign negatively affects the animals, I'll first respond to some evidence challenges. There was evidence provided from an article that after the release of Blackfish in the end of 2013, that SeaWorld's profits dropped 84%. But when you look at SeaWorld's annual revenue reports, in 2013 they made $51 million in profit, and in 2014 still $49 million, so there was no 84% drop. Second, they made us evidence that their ticket sales go to the animals, but there's no evidence to support how much, what percentage of the ticket sales or how much ticket sales even are that is going to these animals. The one strong piece of evidence they had that they've rescued over 20,000 animals in 5 years has no citation, and there's nobody to back that up. And in addition, an evidence challenge to both of their claims is that 5 of the 9 sources they used were either SeaWorld themselves or Awesome Ocean, which is a media company that's funded by SeaWorld. Some reasoning challenges for that first claim. There's an assumption that the PETA has a propaganda campaign, but there's no evidence to support what they're saying that is propaganda. And Cambridge Dictionary defines propaganda as not giving all the facts by secretly emphasizing one way of looking at the facts. And there's nothing to show that they did anything biased in any statements that they made, or even show what statements they did make. Next, she said that the orca breeding program was ended as a cause of Blackfish because SeaWorld realized that it was immoral. But that's actually showing that Blackfish had a positive impact on the animals because an immoral action was ended on them. And as all this evidence doesn't permit for an inferential leap, and even if she did prove the statement that PETA's propaganda campaign against SeaWorld negatively affects the animals, that doesn't prove that they do protect their animals, it only proves that they're being inhibited of it. Their second claim, SeaWorld aims to take care of its animals in the best possible way. Some evidence challenges for this. They stated that they donate to a conservation fund that helps the animals, but they never stated how much that conservation fund helps the animals. And in fact, SeaWorld, of the $51 million that SeaWorld made in 2014, even after Blackfish, they donated $800,000, which is only 1.6% of their total profits from that year. Second, there's no evidence to support how the animal rescue team helps the actual animals. And when you look at it, all they are is on call to help animals, and they're one of many organizations that do that, and they're on call by the government. The government picks which rescue teams that they use, so there's no saying how much they call the SeaWorld rescue team or other ones. Some reasoning challenges. Evidence was supported that people learn about the animals, but that doesn't mean anything is that they're taking care of them just because people are learning about them. Also, it was said that they play with the animals, but there's nothing to support that playtime helps with the animals' health or makes them happier while they're there, just that they get played with. And also a final one was that assuming that people learning about the animals leads to them being more eco-friendly, there's no evidence to support this. This is just an assumption that they learn about the animals and now they're more environmentally friendly. Nothing supports that. So some counterclaims to this is that SeaWorld values making money over educating the people on the animals. SeaWorld didn't start educating until 15 years after they opened, and the founder of SeaWorld even said that it's strictly for entertainment purposes. It's not for educating people. Another one is that SeaWorld values profit over conserving the actual animals. SeaWorld opened in 1964, and the conservation fund didn't start until 2004, 40 years after they opened. And until after the release of Blackfish, every single year SeaWorld donated less than 1% of their total income to that conservation fund. Thank you.
All right, the structure's all fine. On the first point, you talk about their profits, and you suggest that that the advocate misled us on how much impact the Blackfish film had on SeaWorld's profitability. You suggest they dropped $2 million in terms of profit, not 80% as the advocate suggested. So, in essence, you're making a general argument about the reliability of the advocate's information. I think that's the inference that you want us to draw. Or is it just a technical point? Well, it's a small amount. I'm not exactly sure why that information is important. The number of animals that get rescued, you basically challenge the lack of sourcing on that. That's a reasonable press. The argument about propaganda, that's all asserted. Well, I know that there's controversy over the movie Blackfish, for instance, and you're probably right, though, that I don't think that the advocate presented a strong argument that demonstrates that there is propaganda going on here. It's a presupposition about PETA, and that probably would have been an argument that could be developed a little bit more. On the other hand, it was kind of interesting because if the advocate said those words, and I don't remember because we had a difference in amount of time between when we heard the speech originally, if they acknowledged that the orca breeding program was immoral and Blackfish ended it, and then that seems like it's perfectly fine. And I think you've got a legitimate point there. I'm not exactly sure that they said it was immoral. I do know that they said that it ended. If they ended it because they thought it was wrong also, or did they end it because everybody else thought it was wrong because of Blackfish, and as a consequence, now there isn't this program that's going to benefit orcas in breeding in some way, then I think that we've got a different interpretation of what's going on there. It would have been easier for us to figure that out had we been listening to the argument consecutively on the same night, which we'll be doing in the debates, by the way. On the second point, when you talk about caring for the animals, you make an argument in a couple of spots about what, especially in the later section, that talk about what SeaWorld's original goals were. You supposedly quote the founder of SeaWorld. Just as you criticized the lack of sourcing on the advocate's part there, I think that you have the same issue going on here, and you want to be careful about your sourcing for that particular information. The statistics on how much money was donated to the conservation effort, that's pretty good. Although the $800,000 out of $51 million, how that's less than 1.6%, I'm not quite sure. That sounds to me like it'd be, well, I'm not doing math in my head in front of people, but it certainly sounds like it's more than 1.6%. It's still not a huge amount. The argument about them being available for helping the animals, you ask a couple of good questions. I think they're reasonable questions. I don't know that the advocate provided good arguments on this particular point. You don't really have a counter argument on this point, except that you just say, well, there are other groups that can do this, and I didn't hear any evidence on that. I think that would have been a good thing to have some information on. All right, thank you.